The Renaissance was a period of strong rebirth of European culture, art, politics, and economics, and lasted from the 15th to 17th centuries. This is why the Renaissance is called rebirth, because at the time it promoted the reinvention of classical philosophy, literature, and art. European economic change grew dramatically, especially in the field of trade, such as population growth, improving banking, expanding trade routes, and a new manufacture system. If from political development, Europe has been freed from church government so that they are able to produce reform in various aspects of life.
The Renaissance Florence at the time consisted of four social classes: aristocrats, merchants, and unskilled workers. The nobles live on larger estates outside the city walls. They own most the city land. They are in charge of it. The noble underestimate the merchant class, and the merchants try to protect their wealth by controlling the government and marrying into noble families. Furthermore, Florent merchants were craftsmen and shopwarers. And for unskilled workers is the city lowest working class. These workers have no job protection and very dependent on their employers. Society and the economic change most commonly during the Renaissance, namely the fall of feudalism and the rise of capitalism. Feudalism is a contentious concept that appears in various ways throughout art, the relevant literature, as well as a post-medieval contract developed to describe system of political, military, social, and economic power and control moving from king or lord to subordinate in the Middle Ages. Then a rise of capitalism is for expansion of trade, and then increased trade and labor shortages caused by Black Death.
Kings and Queens. Henry VIII was King of England from 1509 until his death in 1547. Henry is best known for his sixth marriage and in particular his efforts to have his first marriage to Catherine of Aragon annulled. His disagreement with Pope Clement VII on the question of such an annulment led Henry to initiate the English Reformation, separating the Church of England from papal authority. He appointed himself supreme head of the Church of England and dissolved convents and monasteries, for which he was excommunicated. Henry is also known as the father of the Royal Navy, as he invested heavily in the Navy, increasing its size from a few to more than 50 ships. The six wives of Henry VIII, Catherine of Aragon, was Queen of England from June 1509 until May 1533 as the first wife of King Henry VIII. Anne Boleyn was Queen of England from 1533 to 1536. As the second wife of King Henry VIII, their marriage and her execution for treason and other charges by beheading made her a key figure in the political and religious upheaval that marked the start of the English Reformation. And the third one is Jane Seymour. Jane Seymour, known as the third wife of King Henry VIII. Anne of Cleves, known as the fourth wife of King Henry VIII. Catherine Howard, known as the fifth wife of the King Henry VIII. And the last one is Catherine Parr, known as the sixth wife of Henry VIII.
Edward VI is the successor to the throne who was appointed by King Henry VIII when he was a child. But unfortunately, Edward VI didn't live long. Edward died of tuberculosis in 1553. Queen, ascended to the throne after the death of her cousin, Edward VI, but her leadership only lasted 9 days, and he was later beheaded by Mary I. Queen Mary I was born on February 18, 1516. She is the daughter of King Henry VIII and his first wife Catherine of Aragon. Mary succeeds in seizing the throne after the death of her brother, Edward IV. During her reign, Mary tried to restore the glory of England to Catholicism by marrying Philip II of Spain, to strengthen the alliances with the Catholic community, and Mary enforced a very strict law that made people who practiced Protestant executed by burnt or exiled. Through this incident, Mary Tudor was named Bloody Mary. Mary died at St. James Palace, London, on 17 November 1558. Elizabeth I was born on September 7, 1533. She is the second daughter of King Henry VIII with his second wife, Anne Boleyn. During the long reign of Elizabeth I, England emerged as a world power, and her presence helped unify the country against foreign enemies. And here are some of the successes in Elizabeth's reign. First is become a woman ruled in patriarchal world. Elizabeth's refusal to marry was the cause of great national and international discussion. It was generally believed at the time that only men were suited to rule and that the proper role for a woman was that of a wife. Yet, Elizabeth found that remaining unmarried gave her a most useful diplomatic weapon, particularly when playing the rivals France and Spain against each other. The second, Elizabeth can negotiation with religious differences and conflicts happened, which re-established the independent Church of England but retained many features of Catholicism. The third is flourishing the literature in England's golden age. Elizabeth admired and supported the arts, what came to be known as the Elizabethan Age. Not only flowering of poetry and drama, but also inspired prose works as well. Then make the body of works written during the reign of Elizabeth I is one of the most splendid in the history of English literature. Aside from the great flourishing of literature, the recent period of Elizabeth I's reign is regarded as a golden age, or the policy of hundreds of laws on shipping, commerce, industry, currency reforms, roads, relief for the poor, and agriculture.
This is the famous authors in Renaissance era. The five most outstanding literary works. 1. Romeo and Juliet, written by William Shakespeare and published in 1597. 2. Prince by Nicholas Machiavelli and published in 1532. 3. Hamlet by William Shakespeare, and it is the most greatest literary works in history. 4. Utopia by Thomas More, published in 1516, and 5. Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe, published in 1593. Other important works of the time. Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes, Rise of Madness by Erasmus of Rotterdam, Decameron by Giovanni Boccaccio, Gargantua and Pantagruel by Francois Rabelais. The Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri, The Faerie Queene by Edmund Spenser, Richard III by William Shakespeare, and Lost Paradise by John Milton.
Romeo and Juliet is a most popular and frequently performed play written by William Shakespeare between 1591 to 1595. This tragedy about two young lovers set in Verona, Italy, and begins with a scuffle between members of the rival families Montagu and Capulet. Romeo and Juliet meet and fall instantly in love at a masked ball of the Capulets. Because their families are enemies, they are married secretly by Friar Lawrence. Romeo ends his own life with poison. When Juliet awakens to find her lover dead beside her, she ends her own life by stabbing herself with a dagger. Shakespeare uses in the work a dramatic structure, poetic, and oscillates between the comedy and the tragedy to increase the tension. He borrowed from other famous tales written earlier in the 16th century, but expanded upon the plot and characters to create his own version of the famous story.
Thank you for watching.